Hey guys, Batman Marc here. We're here with Marty from Mego, and we're here with Paul from Mego, and we're going to talk to them today about their new lineup of toys that just came out 2 months ago. Back in August, I walked into my Target, and lo and behold, there were the Megos. Now I'm going to talk with Marty here first because I got to tell him a story, and then I'm going to ask him his opinion on it. Back in the day, when I first got my very first Mego figure, I've been a huge Batman fan for 45 years. My mom bought me Batman, gave it to me for Hanukkah, and my dad turned to my mom and goes, "What the heck are you doing buying our son a doll?" Did you get a lot of that when you first started out?
Nothing like that, no. Your father was a little confused because it was never a doll, it was always an action figure.
That's what I called it.
And furthermore, G.I. Joe had been out for 5-6 years prior to that. And that's how they marketed it as an action figure. And so we knew exactly how to play the game in terms of who we're selling it to. And as a matter of fact, prior to the Batman coming out as an individual character, there was a brand called Captain Action.
I remember.
And so Ideal wanted to compete, Ideal Toy at that time, wanted to compete with Hasbro. So they created Captain Action, and Captain Action was an individual figure. And then they had a head and a costume for Batman, and then they had a head costume for Spider-Man, and they had a head costume for Superman. But all the kids knew the secret identities. They knew who Peter Parker was, they knew who Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne were, and it was a major disaster. But having said that, it still set the tone that they were all action figures. So now we know we got very, very little of that.
That was my father's ego talking. We know that.
Well, I don't think it was his ego. I think at that time, I guess your father was probably somewhere in his 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, remember we're talking 1970. The whole world was different.
It was very much so, very much so. But I still have my very first Batman Mego, and then I went out and I started collecting as I got older all the other Megos that assorted with the Batman line, because that's my specialty is Batman, as you saw from the back of my card.
Right.
And now you're bringing them back again.
We are making that one major leap for mankind. Yes.
Absolutely.
We are definitely bringing them back. Over the course of the years, people have wanted me to go out and do it. Bring back all the characters and the packaging, the idea, the 8-inch fully articulated body costume dressed versus the fully plastic designed sculpted piece. And we hesitated. And the reason we hesitated was clearly because we knew to be competitive and to make it all work, we literally turned around and had to be priced right. And the only way it could be priced right had to be priced at mass pricing. And so that's how, when Target came to us and said, we're going to give you the support of 2,000 stores and our power to bring it back so we could price it mass, we jumped all over it.
Okay, so back in the early 70s, they were like $5.99 a toy, and now what are they today?
Depending upon the product you buy, anywhere from $14.95 to $19.95. Some go a little higher based upon the size, because we're bringing out a 14-inch character as well.
So between inflation and the cost of living going up, that's about right. A $20 bill is a fair price for an action figure toy.
Well, it's very competitive with what's currently out there in the marketplace. Size, scale, quality, packaging that's out there. And the whole process all comes together in terms of the volume that they now have capability of doing. We didn't have that driving force 40 years ago, but today it's just overwhelming.
It is. It's incredible. Now, are you finding that a lot of the older crew, like myself, coming up to you and talking to you about them as being kept in package, or do you find people are buying them, taking them out of the package, and setting them up in displays?
Well, we want them to do both. We want them to buy one and keep in package for the collector side. And the other side is we've really targeted the kids as well. So we want the kids to turn around and open them up and play with them, put them in displays, put them in figures, have them fight one another, have them create their own storyline, and get innovative and open up their mindset with it. So we've got a double strategy play here, and if that works, then we'll be successful.
Very good. Now, there's the smaller company that was doing your figures as knockoffs, and have you done anything in conjunction with them?
Well, I'm not sure you're talking about.
The small company called Figures Inc.
Yeah, but they've been around for a long time, and they're one of the reasons we went back into the business is because they kept trying to turn around and emulate what we're effectively doing.
Right.
And so we only wish them the best. They sell some goods to mass, not to mass, but to the collector market and to the online piece. We don't consider them competition. We only wish them well. They're different another time and another place.
Well, I think that their whole aspect was to pay homage to you and what you did with the original Megos.
Well, that's why, quite candidly, we have no ill will towards them. We only, in fact, they're the ones who turned around and said to us, let's go out and do this.
That's awesome. That's really good. And then you partnered up here with Paul. So we're going to switch over here real quick and talk with Paul. Paul's originally from?
New York.
New York. Well, I mean, was it Mr. Mego?
Doctor
Mego.
Doctor.
I'm sorry. He's got the PhD in toys.
We went to medical school. I'm going to run. Thank you so much for seeing us.
I really appreciate you taking the time with us.
Not only take the time, we can continue to do this and on a future time basis.
Will you be here at Toy Fair?
I'll be at Toy Fair. You guys
I will see you at Toy Fair.
But you guys are in New York. You can always come by and say hello.
I will absolutely do. Long Island. I'm right around the corner from Paul.
Well, you're 15 minutes from us.
I will come out and see you.
Very nice to meet you.
Marty, same. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, Paul,
Yes.
Tell me how you got involved with Marty from the beginning.
Let's see. I met him at was it MegoCon in 2004 when we got the first time we all got together at the new Hotel Pennsylvania. And since Marty lives right on Long Island, we invited him to come.
And you've been collecting for how long?
Since 1972, the removable
Just
mask
like me.
Batman.
Exactly.
Yeah. But then in '78, my mother made me throw out all my toys.
Oh my God.
Because I find that talking to collectors, there's always this loss. Like,
Yes.
you didn't give up the relationship. It was ended.
Right.
So
Somebody forced you to end it.
You sold them at a garage sale, your little brother destroyed them, your mom gave them away.
Yep.
That's always the story. So I had, when I was in college, I found my girlfriend bought me Superman, Spider-Man, Captain America for my birthday.
That's awesome.
And I was like, you got me. Mego.
Did you marry that woman?
Yes, I did.
There you go.
Yes, we've been married 30
Smart
years.
man.
Yeah.
She collected toys for you.
I said, you got me Megos. She's like, well, I know you like superheroes. And I'm like, these are Megos. Wait, I'm an adult now. My mother can't tell me what to play with. I'm back. And that was when Mego went out of business. And so they kept propping up at like dollar stores, as the old inventory,
right.
except for the Hulks that were on Toys R Us's wall well into the 80s. So I figured, I'm the only grown man that wants his old toys back until I found the Mego Museum, which was all these other grown men with jobs and families and lives, and they're all saying, I got a Batman missing a boot. My Batman's cape is all shredded up. I got, the Captain America lost his shield. I have a Thor without a hammer. And I was like, well, there's got to be a way to make these. If I had a replicator, I'd take Thor's hammer, put it in there, and come out with two. So I looked into silicone rubbers and resins, and it took about 2 years to figure it out.
That's where you got your doctorate in plastic.
That's what I did, yes. That's
great.
why I did my residency.
So what year was that?
1998.
And that's how you created Dr. Mego
Yep.
and the accessories.
That's right.
And then you got involved with the figures, though.
Well,
you
then
also
I
started
found a
producing the figures.
factory in China that was willing to work in the small quantities of a couple thousand. When you're dealing with a factory, they're talking about 50,000 units, 100,000 as production. So I was like, look, I just want to do the cape. I just want to do these little vinyl gloves.
I bought a shield
and
from you.
Yeah, and they're looking at me. The shield I still cast, by hand.
Yeah.
But they were like, you mean a whole figure? I go, no, just the cape. And they're like, okay. And they're like, well, when's your selling season? I go, year round. I'm dealing with grown men. It doesn't matter. So I have about 500 parts on the Dr. Mego website, and of which about 100 are made by China. The other 400 are still hand cast by me, or hand sewn.
Now, do you have a little warehouse or a factory that you work out of yourself?
Yeah, I have a shop. No, it's a shop. I started in my...
In your basement?
Like everybody, I started in my basement.
Garage,
and then
basement,
and moved it to a shed in the backyard, then and to the garage. And finally I said, I got to have a shop. Because my wife was like, you're tracking plastic through the house. There's a trail of plastic everywhere you go.
Yep.
I think, and we had young children, so she was like, I think you need to move it out. So that was 14 years ago.
And you've been manufacturing ever since?
Yeah, but what I did was, in 2006, after I met Marty in 2004, I called him up the next Monday and said, I want to bring back Mego. I made the bodies in China. I've been making parts.
You've been very influential in getting Marvel back on the toy shelves. I got to tell you,
Marvel.
I'm sorry, Mego in general. Mego.
Yeah, do an edit.
Sorry about that. But to be able to bring Mego back and to have that kind of influence on someone like Marty, it has got to be like that. Just the core of my heart. Okay. I am so happy that you were able to do this.
It's a holy mission.
It is.
It isn't.
It is a holy mission.
It's what they call an avocation.
Yes.
It's not about making money. It's about this. I got to see this thing back, and it's back.
It's back.
And we've done it.
Full swing.
So, but Marty said to me, he goes, he said, a lot of guys came to me over the years and said, you should bring back Mego. And he said, but when I asked him, he said, yeah, go get a license. You got the body tooled? Great, go get a license. Go get Star Trek or Planet of the Apes, something that, and make a figure. Actually,
Make one.
Yeah, instead of everybody wants me to do it, He goes, why don't you do it? And that's usually where the conversation stops. Yeah, and so I went out. A friend of mine, Joe Senna, had come back from L.A. He used to work out in L.A., and he was involved with Star Trek licensing. And he said, I know the guys. I can introduce, we should make these figures.
That's awesome.
You got most everything here. Let's see it. And so...
They're up there as well. We'll go scan them later.
So that's when we started working with Diamond Select Toys, because they already had the Star Trek license.
Right.
So we had, we went to them and said, we can make Mego. We can make a Mego Andorian, just like the original. And they went, that's cool. We're Mego fans. Yeah, this is great. So we tried out. Then we did Star Trek and Planet of the Apes, Universal Monsters, and we brought them to Marty and said, this is what we did. Remember that conversation a couple years ago? Yeah, I did it. And he went, all right, you showed me enough of what can I do for you?
That was a test.
I said, what can I do for you? I said, superheroes. Marvel, DC, that's Mattel and Hasbro. I can't get my foot in the door. And he goes, all right, I'll talk to my friends. Okay. We left. My friend Joe said to me, he goes, do you think he's serious? Do you think he can do it? I go, didn't ask us to sign anything, didn't ask us for money. What do we got to lose? A couple weeks later, I got a call from a guy. He's like, I'm Jim Murphy from Mattel. I'll be working with you on World's Greatest Superheroes. And we did Mattel, World's Greatest Superheroes. So
that's wonderful.
So all along, we've been in, communication. And he's asked me about, how are they selling and what's, where are they selling? And he said the specialty market, the comic shop, just isn't big enough.
No.
Doesn't really reach enough people. So he said, this has to be mass. And he says, I don't want to bring back Mego just to have it as a specialty store item.
Right.
So now we're in Target.
I remember. I walked in and there it was.
I mean, look, I'm just along for the ride. I'm like, he called me up and said...
This was a passion. This was something that was deep down in your core.
Yes, yeah.
And to be able to bring this back has got to be awesome. An exhilaration for you.
It's the triumph of the fan.
Absolutely.
This is the age of the fan.
100%.
The Marvel movies are being done by fans. It's not being looked at as schlock to knock out for a cheap buck. It's being done by people who really love the medium. So whether it's superhero, and this is really the age of superheroes.
Absolutely.
So
the genre has exploded. From 1989 when Michael Keaton
gave us a real serious Batman.
Absolutely.
With long ears in a Batcave, solving a crime with logic. And I went, oh yes. No Biff Bang Pows.
Exactly.
No.
I'm right there with you, brother.
Yeah. I remember telling my friend, I went, it's a long-eared Batman in a Batcave. I was like, oh, thank God.
But people still harken back to the 66 series.
And it's great.
Everybody's
It is
coming out.
absolutely
Funko
beautiful.
is coming out with all this crazy stuff for the 66.
It's great, but remember, we lived in that.
Right, exactly.
When anytime you wore a Batman shirt, some clown from across the room went da 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 da.
Exactly.
And you're like,
Now everybody's wearing them.
now it's, listen, my neighbor, who is a sports guy, who knows nothing about comic books, has a Batman shirt. And I looked at him and said, oh, Herb, I didn't know you were into superheroes. I'm now taunting the jocks.
Nerds and Geeks Revenge.
Yeah, nicely, in a nice
Nicely,
way.
absolutely.
With a smile, you know.
But we can do that. We can rib them now.
Why not? You know, and you know what? Welcome to the party. Because
Amen.
it's cool. And you know what? When
That's it. It's become cool.
It is cool.
To be involved in the superhero genre right now. And we've been doing it since we're kids.
Yeah, I have, you know, I'm picking up my kid from daycare, from summer club, you know.
Yeah.
It goes to camp. That's that word.
Summer camp.
And summer camp. And I hear mom next to me say, I can't wait to go see Ant-Man and Wasp. And I went, I'm living in Bizarro world. Like, I never thought I'd hear a mother say that. And I was like, awesome. And you know, my son's friends come up to me and say, okay, can you explain what the Infinity Stones are? And I'm like, oh, yes, I can.
They asked the right father.
Have a seat, boys.
That's great.
That's, you know.
And now we're going along with all of the TV shows that we grew up with as kids are now being put out by Mego.
Right, because we wanted to go beyond the usual suspects. All right, we got the Star Trek guys. We have the superhero fans. These are already known to us. Now, Target's like, let's try to reach out more to the general audience. And that's what we want.
And now you've got with the, I saw that I Dream of Jeannie 2-pack.
Yeah.
Are you guys coming out with a Major Healy? Now that he's just passed away.
I don't know. To tell you the truth, I you know, Senator on advice of counsel, I cannot answer that question on the grounds that it may incriminate me. Yeah, I got to keep a lot of secrets.
I'm sure you do.
Know, I can't.
What if we ask Marty?
Good luck. Hey, he leaks, not my problem. So,
I got to tell you, I love the fact that Mego's back full swing, full-fledged. You've got Cheers. You've got Married with Children. Go run through what other lines you've got coming out.
Let's see.
That
Kiss.
you can talk about.
Yes. Kiss. Bewitched.
Bewitched.
Yeah, that's new. So I hear. That's the new in Wave 2. As so we've got Frankenstein, but it's a public domain version, not universal.
Right.
Charmed. Facts of Life. Happy Days. Brady Bunch. We did Greg with the Tiki. What do you
Brady Bunch Greg with the Tiki.
Yeah, because you got it. Everybody buys it. It's like, are you sure you want that Tiki? Jimi Hendrix was in Wave 1. We got Cliff Clavin for Cheers.
I saw that.
Yeah, you know, Nami, you know?
And there's also Norm. Hey, Norm! Everybody saw Norm. He's out there, too. We'll view those later. We'll scan those in a separate video, guys. We're going to be covering that. But right now, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank Paul and Marty for taking the time out with us. And we're here at the Mego booth. And we'll see you guys at Toy Fair. Batman Marc out.